Welcome back to the AI for Sales podcast. I'm Chad Burmeister, your host, and we've had the new intro going for about the last couple of weeks by now. So I hope you like it. Feel free to like or comment underneath this post today. I have a very awesome guest, a very good friend of mine that I've probably known for 15 years, maybe more, Townsend Wardlaw, who has moved from Colorado to Florida, and now he's in Arizona, en route back to Colorado for the summer. So, Townsend, welcome to the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
By way of introduction, Townsend would like to be introduced that consciousness is the ultimate tool for growing your business. In the world of AI,
Yeah,
consciousness matters more than ever. And we'll
yeah.
definitely.
What a topic, huh?
What a topic, right? We just
Yeah.
talked before we kicked off the show, and let me bring that back to the surface.
Mm.
You quoted somebody that there were four ways to compete: strength,
Yep.
dexterity, cognition, and empathy. Those are the four,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. David Shapiro in his excellent 3-part series on post-labor economics, where he's talking about how are we going to make money? How are humans going to make money in a post-labor, right? Physical labor, strength, dexterity, even cognition, right? What are we going to trade for value? And his hypothesis is the only element left is empathy and slash charisma. So I think it's a really powerful thing to play with, which literally feeds right into what I'm talking about because consciousness is about how the world occurs for us, what we see when we wake up and look out at the world, and what people see when they look at us.
Wow. I mean, I'm trying to overlay this with where I just came from, Informatica World in Las Vegas, and the heart of all the AI that the company's really putting out there is this semantic layer around all the data and what does all that mean? So
Yeah.
that's a lot of around the cognitive
Cognition. Yeah. Yeah.
cognition, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so where does the human fit in the value chain of life?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting conversation.
Well, I put an article up on Substack yesterday, and it was the end of software and human as UI, right? So if you think about UI, user interface, and software for the past, I don't know, 50 years or whatever, software has been this place where we put data, information, business process, rules, workflows, so that a human can sit down and do stuff and screw it up less. That really is what software is for, is to make what the human does easier. Well, that's great, except whenever the process changes or what have you, you have to recode the software and update the software. Whenever the human changes, you have to retrain the human. You have to go back and retrain them even if the job hasn't changed because they forget. So it's been like, how do we make humans not make so many mistakes? Well, with agentic AI, which is where everything's going, I don't need software. Literally, I take the business process, the rules, etc. I put it into the agent and say, just do this. And the example I always use is I can sit down and use TurboTax to fill out my taxes. TurboTax helps me navigate the complexity and nuance and perplexities of the tax code. Well, that's me. That's a human using technology, and TurboTax has a UI, a user interface that I work with. I can also go to my CPA and accountant, and they will do it all. Now they use software too to make their job easier, but they have the expertise. They could do it with a pen and paper and a calculator if they needed to, but they use the tools. Now I take an AI agent and say, hey, here's the U.S. tax code, all 20,000 pages or whatever. Here's a graduate course on certified public account. Here's all just do that for me. There's no coding. There's no software. I give it information. It runs the numbers. It does the calculations, and it spits out the form. And then next year, when the tax code changes, I say, oh, by the way, here's the new rules. Just account for those. So software's done. What is the UI if there's no software? Well, my whole thing is the UI used to be something that we sit in front of, right? And technology is behind it. Well, now the technology is going to be behind me, and I'm the UI. And I put this graphic up, right? I coach. I'm an extraordinary coach. I'm focused. I'm present. I'm listening. I know facial studies. I listen to people's words, so I can sense a lot of stuff, and I remember past conversations. Well, imagine I put on some glasses and I'm just listening to Chad talk. And while he's talking and I'm thinking and paying attention, my AI right? I'm the UI. My AI is referencing every conversation we've ever had, all the coaching I've ever done, facial recognition, micro movement stuff. It goes, I think Chad just told a lie right there. Now, when somebody lies to me in a coaching session or hides something, I sense it. But technology, so imagine, you know, this is where the technology is behind me or plugged into my head. If I have a Neuralink, I'm the user interface to technology. You're being coached by AI, but you're doing it through me. I'm the UI. There's
Yes,
a radical idea.
there's a radical idea. That makes a ton of sense to me, and I think that's where things are headed. And so, being able to, I'll just give you an example. I went to a restaurant here in Colorado that you would know. It was, I think it's Roaring Forks in Denver Tech Center,
Yep.
and there was a waiter who spoke at a level that was 4 levels above what a normal Denver waiter would be speaking at. And I was like, how? And my son and my wife caught the same thing. They were like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
This is different. Is this a robot that we're talking to? And no way. He had to have used, we didn't ask him. I probably should have, but just for confirmation purposes. But I guarantee he uploaded the menu, put it into a AI and said, how would I say these things in a way that would be how could I get more upsell? How could I build a better experience for the people who
Yeah.
are sitting at my tables? And the
Yeah.
way he used the language was the best waiter I would have ever had in New York City.
Yeah. Well, think about that. The waiter is the user interface for the restaurant,
Exactly.
right? And that's what you're paying for, the experience. The food at some point it's all close to the same, but we're going to go to that place because they remember my name, they know what I like, they're really friendly, they're fun, whatever. They're the user interface.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and then it also makes me think around EQ versus IQ. And we've been living through that transition
Yep.
towards EQ being more important over the last 10 or 15 years
Yeah.
already. And
Now
now
it's
it's just
done. Now
even
it's
been
now it's
more.
done. IQ
Yeah.
is worthless.
Yeah.
Literally worthless. There's no value in your IQ.
Because it's all accessible right there
Yeah.
to everybody.
Give me any topic, any concept. Here's the funny part. The thing I was talking about with David, whatever his name is, in his lecture series. Somebody sent me the video. I'm like, I'm not going to watch 3 freaking 40-minute long things. Put it into Notebook LM. I said, build me a little mini podcast. Tell me all the highlights. And so it talked to me and gave me 15, 12, 15 minutes of like all the good stuff. And I know it all. And then if I ever need to use it, it's sitting in my LM. So I could say, hey, and in fact, I did. I was writing this article. I'm like, hey, go over here and just pull whatever I need in here to cite the information accurately. So even all of his great information, I'm going to pull it, and it's now inside of me. It's embedded in my AI coming through the UI. Everything I do goes into my AI. And
Yeah.
when I say AI, I mean my ChatGPT, my Claude, my Notebook LM, whatever tools I'm using. Whatever I want to talk about, I go in there like every chat, every recorded coaching call, every group coaching call, all my training, stuff I did 20 years ago, I had transcribed, my sales stuff. I don't even need to remember what I remember.
Yes. Right.
It'll say, actually, remember you said this 20 years ago, stop reveling, blah, blah, blah.
Just
Like,
pull that back to the
but it
surface.
all comes through this charismatic, empathetic, right? And empathy is not just about universal empathy in my mind. It is the degree to which the specific experience with that human to another similar human creates empathy. And I'll give you an example. I'm a man of a certain age. I'm 56 this year. I'm white. I was born in the United States from the Northeast. I'm a founder. There's all these attributes. When I'm across that person, somebody like that, there is nobody in the world more uniquely qualified to serve them than me because I have deep empathy for their circumstance. I was talking to a founder yesterday. Founders are my people. And he can go get advice anywhere. He can get information anywhere. What he can't do is sit across from somebody and say, listen, let me tell you what it cost me to not do this. Let me tell you what it cost me when I lost integrity in my marriage. Let me tell you what it cost me and how, right? So there's information and then there's transformation. Information is ubiquitous, it's free. Transformation is precious and it is invaluable. Transformation is your application of information when you put it into action, stepping through something that is scary, frightening, uncertain, etc. Everybody's got all the information that they need. The question is, will they put it into action And when it's important, usually the only reason you're not putting it into action is not for a lack of information, it's because it's scary, or you don't know how it's going to go, or you're not sure it's going to work, or what it'll cost you. So sitting across from somebody goes, yeah, I've been there, dude. Whatever you're terrified of happening, it's happened to me and I'm okay. So get cracking. And they
Hmm.
go, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And AI can't replace
Right,
that.
because it's like looking in the mirror at their situation.
That's right. But if I'm not sitting across from another man of a certain age, white dude, born in the United States, there's no empathy, right? I don't build empathy with people from India or people from Thailand or, you know, California, more left-leaning liberal women.
Right.
I'm not, I'm not,
And
I'm not,
the,
I'm not
and
the,
what's the difference between trust and empathy? Because trust building, there's classes on, right? There's ways you can use language, see, hear,
yeah,
feel, right? Are you visual? I see what you mean, Townsend. I
yeah,
hear you,
yeah.
those kinds of things. But what's the
Trust is
difference?
an interesting term, and I think people misuse it, right? Because we think about trust as the absolute of do I trust them or not? To me, trust is the degree to which I believe you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So I really talk about integrity. And there are high trust people and low trust people, and I can work with all of them. Um, when my son was younger and in his teen years, he was incredibly trustworthy. I could trust him with absolute certainty that he would do the opposite of what he said he was going to do. I could trust him that whatever he said he was going to do, he wouldn't do it. Right? So there was high trust, Chad, very low integrity. But so we use trust a lot like it's a moral value. To me, trust is about predictability, right? Will they behave the way, right? Are they telling me what's real for them, or are they saying it to make me happy? So I really like moving upstream to integrity when I talk about that and just saying, listen, trust is it's more of a value we place and it's for shits and giggles. But the degree to which something has integrity, will I say something to you that is important to say, even if you'll never talk to me again, even if you won't renew with me? Or am I saying what you want to hear so you'll pay me?
Mm.
Well, that's what matters. And by the way, you could trust me either way. The question is, integrity means I'll say what needs to be said no matter what.
So, if empathy is the last of the four frontiers, what recommendation might you give to somebody who can go learn how to be more empathetic, or what
Well,
should they be focused
great question. What I would say is it's not about learning to be more empathetic. It's understanding that, first of all, empathy is not I've been there. It's the degree to which you are experiencing what somebody else experiences. Sympathy is I've been exactly in your shoes. So the nice thing is empathy is a little bit broader. Um, to me, empathy is a very simple characteristic to build, and particularly in sales, since we like talking about that. And it's the degree to which I choose to look through the world from your eyes first and my eyes second. So whenever I'm sitting across from somebody, coaching, selling, whatever, I've got a position. I see the world a certain way. I have a stand. There's something I want. Wonderful. That's not a problem. That's how humans operate. The question is, do I show up as that's more important, and I'm going to get my agenda, or do I start with let me see if I can see how Chad's looking at me, how Chad sees the world. Once I do that, well, then I could say, hey, listen, I get you, man. It's like this. You go, yeah, great. Can I tell you what I see? And if I see what you see, and you're willing to look at what I see, well, now we can create workability out here.
on?
The problem is when I show up going, well, what I see is real, what you see is bullshit. I'm right, you're wrong. This is, and I got to convince you. It's no fun. So you want empathy? Stop thinking that anybody else is going to ever see the world the way you see it, and know that to create workability in any situation, all you got to do is start with, I wonder what they see over there.
Yes, that's good. And I go back to my whole career in sales, and a lot of people in sales, the job is, what are you looking for, Townsend? Oh, I need to do X. Great. Let me tell you how we can do X. And I jump to it really, really fast. What
Yeah,
I'm understanding from this conversation is, in the world of empathy, I can't empathize if all I listen to is one sentence.
true. And there's another layer I think that's really important for people watching who are in the world of sales. I've always divided the world into demand response, selling, and demand creation. Hey, I want this. Great, we got it. Here's our price, blah, 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 blah. Well, 100% of demand response selling is going to be relegated to technology. 100%. I don't care how fucking complex it is. Sorry if I'm swearing. I don't care. 100, if somebody is looking for something and they know what they want, they've got the problem defined, they will have an AI agent that will go buy that, and you'll have an AI agent that will sell. There's no humans involved. What people will pay for is help with what they don't know they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's what I know that I know, and there's what I know I don't know. The only fun spot is what you don't know you don't know. So what I say, and I work with salespeople, I work with coaches. And by the way, I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. Michael T. Bosworth, who wrote Solution Selling, wrote about this 20 something years ago. So this is not even original. And he said, a buyer comes to you and they have a concept of their problem and they have a concept of the solution they need. If you engage with them at the level of their existing problem concept, solution concept, you're a commodity. That's not solution selling. Solution selling starts with, here's my idea of the problem, here's my idea of the solution, and the salesperson or the coach saying, wonderful, are we sure that's it? Make this very simple, and I say this to coaches. There is nobody that comes to me looking for coaching that if they say, here's what I want coaching on, that I'm going to help them, because they don't need help on it. If they're right about the problem and they're right about what they need, they can go solve that with something else. The only value is if I can say, that's wonderful, we'll start there and then we'll see what's really going on. Like, think about the doctor, right? If you know what the problem is, you don't need to go to the doctor. You call Teladoc and they call in some antibiotics for you or something. When it gets weird and stuff and we don't know, well, then you need to talk to a human who really knows their stuff and goes looking in the dark corners that you haven't been looking at. And
Yeah.
that's the value of a coach. It's also the value of a salesperson. So if you want to be successful in sales, make it easy. Do you want to have a job in sales? You will have to take a stand that you are no longer going to sell what people show up looking for. And that's a tough stand.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, you will be replaced. It's a matter of time. If you get in the practice of saying, well, that's a good start, you're ready to have a conversation about what you might really need, well, a lot of people will walk away and then you won't waste time. And you'll get really good at sourcing what's really going on. I
Mm-hmm.
call it, and I stole this from, what's the guy's name? The negotiating guy, Chris Voss. It's their black swan. Somebody shows up to me and they're like, this is my lead. And they got all their complaints. They're hiding something. And they ain't hiding it from me. They're hiding it from themselves. I got a guy in my living room yesterday. We've been together for about 8 hours in our coaching relationship. And I've known he's hiding something. Not from me, because I would see it, but from himself. And that was the entire basis of our relationship. Whatever is causing all the problems in your life, you can't see it. It's buried in there. We're going to go find that, and then you'll be free. Sure enough, it popped out yesterday. I was like, there it is. And he was
There
like,
it
oh
is.
my God, I can't believe it. Yeah, it's been wrecking his entire life.
Wow. That reminds me of the series You on Netflix, where this guy's a mass murderer. And but he thinks he's doing things just to help the people that he's involved with.
Yeah, wow, that's
He's
every human
doing
on the
what he
planet.
feels to be the next right move. And then it takes 5 seasons to finally peel back the
Yeah,
onion and figure out what
yes.
that aha is, you know?
So this gets to where we started consciousness,
Yeah.
right? Consciousness is all that is. Like the entire universe, everything in it is consciousness. I also use consciousness synonymous with God. God is everything. Here on this planet, in this room that I'm in, there is a Townsend character, and I have my level of consciousness. I have some consciousness. Consciousness is aware of all. God is aware of all. God is all. I'm aware of what I'm aware of. And whatever I'm aware of, whatever I see looks real to me. And it's really convincing. And whatever I see, I will produce thinking about what I will do with it, and the thinking will be perfect. I love the example of the mass murderer. What he saw looking out through the world is, well, this is what I got to do because of where he was looking. And we can call it right or wrong, but the truth is, you're not going to argue him out of that being the case. Now, possibly I didn't watch the series, at some point, his awareness shifts, his concept of who he is, how the world works, and he has a different view. And he goes, wait, no, I've been doing it wrong. And then once he sees that it's wrong, he stops killing people, I'm guessing, right? You don't have to tell him to do it. So this is, to me, a universal principle. If you want to transform business, transform people, stop training them. Stop teaching them. Stop managing them. Stop arguing with them. Stop trying to convince them and get clear on what are they aware to, what level of consciousness are they coming from. And then allow them to shift their consciousness. And I'll give a simple example. We're probably near the end of time, but there was a gentleman who came into my world, very successful regional vice president at a multi-billion-dollar equity-backed roll-up of they do orthodontist offices,
Mm-hmm.
multiple billion-dollar industry. The guy's incredibly successful. He calls me up one day. He's a client. He goes, "Towns, I got a problem." I said, "Wonderful. What do you got?" And he starts talking, and blah blah blah, this and that. Now, as he's speaking, what I'm seeing by what he's describing is, look at that. That's $1 million extra in compensation for him. Like literally, I saw it sitting there like a pile of gold. That's $1 million in cash and equity for this dude. Now, where he's looking, he's seeing a problem. Now, when you see a problem, you got to fix it. You got to remove it. You got to get out of the way. You got to fight with it. When you see $1 million, you go and put it in your bank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I said, "Dude, that's not a problem. It's $1 million," he would have argued with me because from where he's looking, it ain't. It doesn't matter what I see. I can't talk him out of it. So what we did is we do the work that I do. We play this game called Let's Look from a Different Level of Consciousness. Not just different ideas, but let's look from a different perspective of how the world occurs. And I use this sort of as a metaphor. As his angle changed metaphorically, he gets over, wait, that's $1 million. Like I literally never had to tell him what it was. When he was looking from where I'm seeing, he saw it himself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to convince him, and then I sure as heck didn't have to tell him what to do about it. How do you no, you go get it. You go get the contract signed, dude. That's the power of working at the level of consciousness. And people may not know this watching this. I spent 2 decades training salespeople, building sales over, implementing processes, doing this stuff at scale with tremendous results. More than 3 dozen companies I've helped take to exit, more than $1 billion in revenue increase, $1 billion in money in founders' pockets. So I know a lot about the world of training and coaching and systems and processes, blah, blah, blah. And always what I found was we'd put these systems in place, train people, role play, and then watch them do the same shit they always did because we didn't do anything about their consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Now in my world today, it's very simple. I see how they see the world. We work with them at the level of their consciousness. Their consciousness shifts and they start doing the different things. They go find their own training. They find their own processes. They don't need me to tell them anything.
Yeah.
And it sticks.
So if you didn't take anything away from today's conversation, take that away. It's all about empathy. It's all about digging beneath the layers of the onion. Beliefs are where it's at, and beliefs can be difficult to change unless you work with someone who knows how to help you reflect back
Get
on your
in there
beliefs
and
and
work with the little
tweaks that are necessary. So don't look at $1 million as a problem. Look at it as an opportunity and change your patterns. Empathy becomes the area of competition. Consciousness is the ultimate.
It's the only thing you'll have for the next 10 years. If you can't develop it, you're going to be getting your UBI and watching Netflix all day. So
Work
that's fine.
on your consciousness. Amazing conversation as always today, Townsend Wardlaw. If people want to reach you, how would they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. That's basically me, Townsend Wardlaw, pretty easy name. I have a website that's one page. I do a lot of writing on Substack, so Townsend Wardlaw, and you add Substack to that, and there's a lot of actual meaty articles that I've put up there. That's where I do most of my big thinking and sharing.
So as we talk about all of these AI technologies coming out, let's not forget the human is the competitive advantage. Townsend, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, everybody.